All right, Sarah Duffy is shooting this on the AT&T phone, and Mike Soderbeck and I are going to talk a little high school basketball, but I want to say this, long overdue. You know, I've known a lot of people in this community, and many of them are women. You find that hard to believe, don't you? Mm-hmm. But anyway, Mimi Tambolini, Croxel, Sarah Duffy, Diane Barr, Senaviva, okay? Lynn Wilson. Sarah, what's her married name?
Reale.
I don't know your husband, Lynn, but I know you and I know your dad, Mike. And Jolie Fike Lee, great basketball player, great parents, brother. When you put those five together, they keep me going, folks. So I love all of you women. They mean a lot to me. I just want to take a little time to spread the love. Okay, let's talk a little bit of basketball. You actually were the head coach of Beaver Local a couple of years, 17-5, back-to-back. And in all the years that I was at Beaver Local, that's going to go down, if not two of the best years ever, pretty close. Assistant with Nick Alloy at East Liverpool. Spent a little time with Nate Conley, who's now the head basketball coach. Overall, and I've been looking at some of the box scores, and you think of East Liverpool basketball, Wellsville, Oakland, Beaver Local, you go to the evening review, they're all kind of struggling a little bit this year. And we're going to talk about last night's game between Beaver Local and East Liverpool, and it was a rare occasion. Beaver Local actually got a win. This is the first time since 07-08 that they defeated the Potters. What's your overall view of local basketball, in particular those four teams?
Well, it seems like there's a lot of teams struggling this year. Wellsville still holds their own. Bug Thompson does a great job. He always teaches the fundamentals, and they play hard. And, you know, Beaver Local, that team will play hard no matter what. And I know Nate's struggling this year, but Nate is doing a great job, and Nate will keep it up. And he's playing a lot of freshmen. I know that one of my neighbors, Brendan O'Hara, is going to get, I hope to get some more playing time for him. He seems to work on his game. And Oakland has improved this year. They've done a great job.
All right, now, in that game last night in which they lost, East Liverpool, Logan Dawson was out because he only played a couple of minutes, so he really wasn't in the ball game much of anything. Tell me about him. What's he like? What kind of player?
Logan is a scrappy player, and he is a head, nose player. He just comes in and he just gives all he's got, and just like a lot of the players on that team, they'll play till their hearts out.
All right, Roach, Jackson. Tell me about these two guys.
Roach and Jackson, great players. Bug has a great team. He always does. He seems to think he doesn't, but he always has a great team, and he always comes through in the clutch.
All right, Aaron Bombach, he had 18 points. He was moved over to guard in that game. Why did they make that decision to put him at guard? And obviously, he came through with 18 points. Nate Conley made that decision.
I think because of the Logan Dawson situation, I think that's why he put him there.
All right, Jason Pankenhowski, I think his name is. He's the head coach at Beaver Local. And Chase Conley, 29 points, 19 by the first half. Nathan Klein, he had 4 of his 6 three-pointers in this game that really kind of put the game out of reach for East Liverpool. And Michael Clendenning, who I remember from the football team, had 8 points and 12 rebounds. Beaver Local has to really be excited the fact they got a win against East Liverpool, because that just didn't really happen very often in basketball. What really do you think was the tail of the tape in this game last night? They just outrun East Liverpool in the game? What do you think happened?
Well, when East Liverpool and Beaver Local meet, the thing is with Beaver Local, that's their Super Bowl. They look forward to that game, and they put out, sometimes I think more than they play when they play Crestview or East Palestine or somebody else. They want to beat East Liverpool, and they'll lay it all on the line that game.
Tell me about the Buckeye 8 where these teams are playing, and kind of roll back the hands of time when you were playing, and a little bit different. You guys traveled a little bit more, but what's your overall thoughts about the Buckeye 8?
Well, the Buckeye 8 or the Big 8?
Big 8.
The Ohio Big 8.
Right.
The Ohio Big 8 was a league that East Liverpool, Barberton, Massillon, Camp McKinley, Steubenville Big Red, Alliance. I mean, we played top-notch basketball throughout the whole state. And I can still remember going up to Barberton as a junior, and they were ranked number 1 in the state, and we were number 11. And we went up there, and everybody, the gym was packed, the purple and the white in their gym, and it was just incredible. And they beat us 121-99, but we never scored that many points ever, and we never gave up that many points.
Talking about the Barberton Magic, my brother-in-law who lived there, John Manzetti, for years when he first married my sister, would tell me all about this team all the time, over and over, and how great they were in the tradition. But I kind of wanted you to compare it with what the Potters are doing now in Beaver Local and the Buckeye 8. And the talent obviously is not the same, because you're talking about some elite programs who had a lot of tradition. What is happening right now as far as in this region when it comes to basketball? And if you even go to Western Pennsylvania, there was a time where you had Division I players going to places like the University of Pittsburgh, going to places like West Virginia, where Bob Huggins is having a great year this year, going to places like Duquesne, going to places like Robert Morris. But they were always matriculating at places like Ohio State into the NBA. You think of Havlicek, of course, from down in Bridgeport. It just doesn't seem that there's that type of talent around here anymore in basketball. You think that's a stretch, or is there something to that, you think?
Well, I think it all goes back to 1982 when Crucible Steel shut down. When Crucible Steel shut down, that was the thing. So many people were employed there, and there were so many more people here. Now, because the jobs are so sparse, people have moved on. People I went to high school with, they worked at Crucible Steel till it shut down for 5 or 6 years, and then they went to Oklahoma, they went to Texas, they went to Tennessee. And the population in this area has gone down. It's just not the same as it used to be back in, the 70s.
And you also think about Norm Van Leer, Simi Hill, great basketball teams out of Midland. And it just has changed a lot. But I also think, because there's so many other options out there now for kids to play. Soccer, you being a former school teacher at Beaver Local, did a great job for many years. That's kind of really changed the way we look at football. And now you have women playing volleyball, young ladies, and basketball has become big in Title IX. All of these things that have happened. So it's just a different landscape today, I think. So where those options are, a lot of the players who would have been playing basketball have gone to the other options.
Right, yeah, there's so much of this AAU and all these other things that are so involved now. Basketball is a year-round sport now, where when I was a kid, we played football, we played basketball, and we played baseball. Now you got kids specializing in a certain sport, that they feel they're the strongest in. So there's a lot more out there.
All right, Coach Irons, who passed away many years ago, is from Freedom, but he coached here when I first came to East Liverpool, and I've said this many times. I have covered a lot of basketball. I've been all over. Okay, I've only done one state championship game. That's with Julie Fike's squad in 1987. But the team that I saw, Mark Douglas, of Gerald Christian, in that first year I was here, may have had the most talent that I have ever seen on a basketball floor at one time.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I've heard a lot of people say the same thing you've said. I remember those days. I was in college then, but I'd come back and watch the Potters at the field house. And Mark Douglas, I coached Mark Douglas when he was in 5th and 6th grade at the high school. We would have, after practice on Saturdays, Earl Diddle, who was the head coach, would get each player on the Potter varsity to coach a 5th and 6th grade team, and we'd have them up on Saturdays. And I still remember Mark Douglas, and I remember him on my team, and he was the best player. And I said, Mark, someday you're going to be a treasure, man. He said, that's what I want to be.
Well, Robert Jackson, a great athlete too. Alan Blythe, the Long brothers, Eric and Larry, just incredible. Sean. So a lot of good memories when it comes to basketball. Potter Fieldhouse, second to none. Believe me, there is nothing that even compares to what we're going to try to do. If I can find any more time. We are going to try to come back here on Wednesday nights and do a little recap as far as what's happening in the region with basketball. Now, if I had Bob Duffy working for me, I could just show up and look good, and he'd do all the work because he's the best. All right, folks, in the meantime, ciao.